Yes, I'll remember to do the recording. Okay, so to do the bodice, we're going to just take the half scale. We're working half scale today for this assignment. And we're essentially just combining it. We're just gonna attach it together. We're gonna leave the shoulder dart as is, because based on the sketch, we're keeping there. We're not gonna add any, we're not gonna remove it, we're not gonna change it, so this is gonna stay there. But the darts here, we're going to basically meet in the middle because we have two darts for the skirt, one for the bodice. So what I would do then is just eliminate them completely, just delete them completely and draw a new dart. Our side is gonna be a little bit different. We're following the shape of the skirt, but we're gonna add ease to the hips and the waist. And the reason we add ease for this case is because if we did not have any ease around the hips, this is meant to be very fitted. So if it was like fitted around here, very, very tight here, and then you move around, your hem is just gonna rise up. It's just gonna roll up. So the ease kind of just helps it fall a little bit nicer around the hips. So those are the only things that we're gonna adjust here, but for the most part, it's gonna stay as true to these two blocks. So I'm gonna go ahead and trace the top half as is. Tracing the bodice first. And then, let me move this out of the way. Just kind of mark out where my waist seam is. Roughly where my, sorry, not the waist seam, waistline. I'm gonna extend my center front down. Because if I just line my skirt up, I'm not sure it's gonna be entirely straight. So if I have a center front that is all the way straight, then I can line it up. Oh, I forgot to do the apex. And do my apex there. I have my notches here. I'm gonna draw my dart on my shoulder. And then now I'm gonna take my skirt, line it up at the center front waistline where it is, and draw the rest. You'll notice that on the side, it kind of goes into the bodice block a little bit, and that's fine. That's because there's added curve to the hips, to the skirt waist. We're not gonna worry about curves right now. We're just gonna draw everything as is. So I'm gonna just do my markings, draw my side, and I'm gonna end my torso block at the hip line. So I'm just gonna mark the notches. The notches are already there. Draw my line out. And then I'm gonna draw my bust line. Oops. And then the 2 points where the skirt dart ended, I'm just gonna make a note of where that's at. And then roughly my waistline. Again, this might change because when I do my back bodice, I'm gonna line them up, line the side seams up, and end up having to probably redraw the waist notch. So this is just roughly where it's at. Okay, so for the middle dart here, we have an intake, a dart intake that's already specified, which is 1/2 inch. So what we're gonna do is draw a line that's gonna essentially be the fold line from the apex. You always want your darts to end at the apex. So I'm just gonna draw a square. Actually, I'm gonna use the center front. Square down from the apex all the way until this line that I drew where the location of the dart ends are for the skirt, because this is where it's gonna end. So this becomes our new fold line for our waist. We're gonna then draw our dart intake, which is a total of 1/2 inch, but I'm gonna do 1/4 inch each side. That totals to be 1/2 inch here. And then I'm just gonna connect my legs. Doot, doot, and do my diamond shape. And that becomes my new dart. Very, very simple. Our darts are done. We're gonna move on to the side seam. So because we are going to add, so it indicates here 1 inch ease all around. That means that we're distributing the 1 inch to both sides, the front and the back, and on both sides, left and right. That means we're adding 1/4 of an inch to each of these, each of the sides. Did that make sense to you guys? Okay. So we're marking that line, and then our hips, 1/4. I'm just gonna use my, you can use the French curve. I'm just gonna use my pattern and draw that curve. It's already a nice smooth curve, so I don't wanna.
Sorry, you said you're adding ease right now?
I'm adding ease, yep. From the waist through to the hips. Now all that's left to do is just smooth out this line. I'm then gonna use my French curve, blend out this area here. You don't want a, like a pointy side seam, so you're just gonna give yourself a nice smooth line. Now that becomes your nude side seam line. You can go ahead and cross these out so it does not confuse you. And this is all for the front bodice. Very, very straightforward. For the back, it's gonna be the same, but there's a few things that are done differently.
Do you have to do the same thing when you move the darts up and down by a half inch?
Up and down by half.
Well, like you pull the dart down by half inch in the apex?
Yes, so when you're done creating your base,
Okay.
you can then do all of your markings, and the markings will be the same as the bodice.
Okay.
So for the, let me go show you guys right now.
Because I was wondering for the diamond how that changes.
The only thing that, well, nothing much changes. At the apex, we have to bring it down 1 inch and then bring it down another 1/2 of an inch. So let's go ahead and do that. But this is a half scale, so I'm gonna do 1/2 inch and then 1/4 of an inch. That is my punch hole. From the bottom, because you're not dealing with any major bumps and curves, you're only gonna need to go up by that 1/2 inch, which is essentially the same as the back bodice, where you just move up by 1/2 of an inch, move down by 1/2 of an inch.
And those are so the sewer knows to start curving in when they're sewing the dart?
Yeah, so for the sewing part of it, this is so that the sewer knows that this is not the true vanishing point, is what it's called. But the functional part of it on this seam here, or on this line here, is when you do your punch hole. Say like if you have a stack of fabric and you're cutting it with the machine and you're punching it through with the heavy duty needle, it's gonna punch and puncture the fabric. So you don't want that to be directly on the stitch line. So what you do is you just shift it away just by a little bit. 1/8 of an inch is usually okay. And that becomes your punch hole. You do that to both sides. 1/8 of an inch in. Let me specify that. 1/8 inch in. And then you need another punch hole for your dead center here. And that's so that when you fold, you're folding it to sew, you know that this is the actual fold. These markings are where you're stitching around. And I'll show you guys how to sew this too. You guys don't have to do the sewing part of it. I'm just gonna show you how it look like. Okay, so this is the marking for the dart. All of the other markings will be the same as the bodice. So this one, 1/2 inch, 1/4 of an inch, punch hole.
Now that it
There's
has
some
ease,
allowance.
it's not considered a block, is that right? Like it's a pattern now.
It would, I mean, I think you could still call it a block and a sloper because it's still a very foundational piece. If your final pattern for whatever design you're doing is just this as is, you can call it a pattern. But if you're still gonna add more tweaks to it, say like you wanted to change the neckline, maybe you wanted to change the dart location, then it's not like the final pattern yet. So it would still kind of be considered a block. Yeah, that's a good point though, because I did add ease here.
But it's still not technically tailored to, still not the finished product.
Yeah, it's still not done to what you're designing, like if you were to design it. It's still like the beginning stages of the pattern making part. I don't know. That's a good point though. I'll think about that. Okay, moving on to the back. I'm gonna do my, I'm gonna draw my straight line first so that I have that to guide me. For the back, I'm gonna do my skirt first because you'll notice that when you line them up next to each other, there's a big difference between the skirt and the bodice side seam. So I'm gonna draw my skirt part first, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of pivoting with this one. So I'm gonna do that one afterwards, and I'll show you guys what I mean with that. Tip line, I'm just marking the locations of my dart ends. And then the bodice, lining it up at the center front waist location here. And then you'll notice on the side it has a little bit of an overlap. Don't worry about that. And I'm gonna trace just the neckline and the shoulder. What I'm gonna do, because there's such a big difference right here, is I'm gonna pivot to close it up. And you can do that on any anchor point, and I guess like what you wanted to keep and maintain, you would pivot anywhere below that, anywhere after that. So if I chose this as an anchor point and I wanted to shift my pattern, what's gonna happen is my high back is gonna increase, my high chest or my across shoulder is gonna increase. So like the point from my shoulder to center front, that's gonna increase, this is gonna increase, and my chest is gonna increase. If you don't want anything else to increase and you wanna keep the entire top half the same, and you can pivot anywhere in between the armhole here. So I'm gonna pick right along the, what is it called? The back, high chest, here, high back. The high back, sorry. All these words. I'll draw everything up until the point that I'm gonna pivot. From this pivot, I'm gonna keep my pen down or just hold it with my pencil. Then I'm gonna pivot until my lines meet with the skirt side seam. Draw the rest. And now I have a nice smooth side seam here. The armhole, although it's shaped as a little bit more curvy, the length of it is still the same because I pivoted from the same location. So now I'm gonna draw the rest of my lines. My high back, my shoulder, because this is gonna be the same. And then my chest. And now we have this dart to deal with too. So actually I forgot to mark my dart end for my bodice. This is where I'm going to start off, same as with the front. This is gonna be where my dart, my top vanishing point is, and I'm just gonna square down up to where my bottom vanishing point is gonna be. And that will be my center line for my dart. Right here. And then on our spec sheet, it has a 1/2 inch dart, so it'll be the same as the front. Sorry, let me roughly draw my waistline. Okay, so these are my widest points. Draw my legs in and do all of the markings exactly the same here. So once that's done, we can then do our ease, which is going to be the same thing, 1/4 inch ease at the waist, 1/4 inch at the hip line. And then I'm just going to use my skirt pattern here. And then using my French curve, smooth out that line. Okay, and that's it. This is how you would draft it. You would then go in and do all of your seam allowance. And let me quickly show you guys how to true it. I'm just gonna do my seam allowance for the side seam, because what happens when you align or when you match your bodice and your skirt is the length of it changes. So I'm going to true my side seams. So I'm going to roughly do that. And get my scissors.
But so you had more of a dart intake before you added that fisheye dart, right? Like those two darts in the skirt would have been more than that single dart. So
That's
is that not
correct.
going to affect the fit of the block?
So with I forgot to specify that I did a semi-fitted bodice, so it's not going to
Okay.
fit really snugly. But
Right.
to your point, if you did want it to be more shaped
You could just
shaped
change
around,
those.
I would add 2 darts and you would add it off to the side. You wouldn't add it to the middle here. You would do it off to the side here. And you don't want to increase the dart intake, because the more you increase the intake, you're gonna have more points at the top and the bottom. More of that, like, you know, rounded edge. So to prevent major points around the hips, because around the hips, not the hips, the pelvic area, there's not a lot of curves. So you're just gonna have like a, you know, bulginess around the front here. So if you have 2 darts, it's a little bit more seamless. That's why I said I wouldn't recommend doing a dart intake that's any greater than 1 1/4 inch. And again, if you did want it to be a fitted look, then I would just add another dart on the side.
Right. This is a semi-fitted bodice.
This is a semi-fitted.
Okay.
And then if you wanted to do a boxy look where it does not have any darts, you just completely ignore the darts here and you just do your side seams. Okay, so what did I want to do? Oh, I wanted to show you guys how to true the side seams. So I'm gonna roughly draw my seam allowance. So I am going to walk my pattern, and you can either, if your paper is thin enough and you could see on the other side, you could probably just overlay it. Line up your stitch lines and just kind of walk it all the way down to see if it matches. And it looks like mine does not match. So what I'm gonna do is readjust one of my lengths. So let me see. My front is 1/2 inch shorter. Sorry, longer, 1/2 inch longer. So I'm going to meet in the middle. I'm gonna increase my back length and I'm gonna reduce my front length. While I have this overlaid like this, I'm gonna redraw a new waist line. So I'm just gonna pick somewhere that's approximately in the middle. Yeah, that's good. So now this becomes my new waist notch. Did you guys see what I did there? Any confusion on that part? Oh, sorry.
So you waited to adjust the waist length, or the waist notch, just roughly,
Mhm.
after everything was, drawn out lengthwise?
Mm-hmm. So I just walked my side seams just to ensure all of my notches and my lengths match up. and the difference was a whole half of an inch.
Were you walking from here or from
Mhm.
here?
I was
Okay.
walking from here.
Interesting.
That might have been because when I did my drafting, I lined it up at the center. In the book, it actually extends it by like, I think like a quarter of an inch. So that's probably what happened.
And then is it just a particular preference that you like, making it true or walking it from the armhole? Or like?
I always try to walk from the armhole downward because it's easier to adjust down here.
Mhm.
If you were to walk from down up, that means you have to reshape your
Gotcha.
armhole. It's a little bit more complicated. And down here, it's just a nice line, so you can just easily add and subtract. Yeah.
Does that mean you have to move the darts if your waist moves?
No, you don't, because the waist seam is kind of already naturally curved. I don't know if you guys noticed when you line up when you sew your darts, it kind of has a small curve to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't necessarily have to do that. The
Okay.
notching is only so that you can line it up on the side seam when you stitch.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you absolutely really wanted to add the line, you can add it a curve all the way to where your dart ends, or your dart point is. This way. So that becomes my new notch. Any questions on that? Yeah.
When you adjust the waistline, you'll also have to adjust the dart.
No, you don't have to adjust the dart. The waistline is only to match up at the side seams. Yeah. It's just so you have a notch to work with. Am I missing anything? Okay, so this is how you draft a bodice, a torso bodice. You'll then go in and do all of your seam allowance as indicated here, which is basically the same as your bodice one. Mark all of your notches, do your correct labeling, and then turn it in just the 2 pattern pieces like this. So you're only turning in the pattern, but I did want to show you how it looks like when it's constructed. So this is my half bodice. Let's pass this around.